Welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating us. Us? Is that right? Boy, let me tell you, that is where my head is. It's really what's really eating you, but clearly it's eating me today too. I am still very much Carrie Dela Cruz, and I am really happy to be with you guys today on this Thursday afternoon. Never quite sure what to do with a Thursday because it's, after hump day, and it's not quite Friday, and a lot of people like to use it as a throwback Thursday or whatever, but whatever the case, it's Thursday my time, and it might be Friday wherever you are, or any other day of the week if you're watching me on demand, but whatever the case is, I'm just grateful that you are watching me at all, and I want to welcome you all in. It is so great to see your shiny faces and see so many new faces out there. We are getting a lot of newer viewers this week, and it is really, really encouraging and exciting. And before I launch into today's talk, which is, do you trust you? I thought I would address something that I put on my wall because I'm getting a lot of really great feedback, a lot of great insight, conversation about it, and it has to do with frustration, a very real frustration that I have about how to get the message of support through recovery out into this world that is not focused on recovery, but is instead still very much focused on things like, food and numbers and weight and obsession and fixation and things like that, and not really focused on recovery. And it's very challenging because there are so many people out there that need this message, not because it's me, not because I'm talking. They don't need me. I just want them to have this message. And I guess this is an age-old problem. Recovery is not for people who need it. It's for people who want it. But how do people know it if they don't know about it, right? How do they know if they want it if they don't even know that it exists? And that is the conundrum. That is the challenge that I am faced with and have been faced with since I began doing this work several years ago. There was no one talking about recovery. There was no name for it. Nobody really knew what it was all about. I didn't even know what it was about. I just knew it had to be something more than the food. I kept saying, look, if I am focusing on the food, I'm not doing anything differently than I ever did before. Therefore, why would I expect to get anything different than I ever got before? In other words, nothing had changed except the fact that I had chosen to have surgery for what? To lose weight. That was why it was called weight loss surgery. In my mind, I had surgery to lose weight, but that wasn't what I really wanted. I wanted to gain life, right? But no one was really explaining to me why it was that I had never been able to gain life any other time I had ever lost weight. The only difference was surgery, and it was a big difference, and it felt like my last hope, my last chance, and if I failed this, it would all be over, and I would never, ever be able to lose weight again. That wasn't what it was all about. That's where the focus was. That's why I do what I do. That's what I want to talk about, because I want to spread the message of hope for recovery from obesity as a disease, from food addiction as a disease that's treatable. I want that message to get out there somehow. And sometimes I feel like I'm screaming in the desert. Not because you guys aren't doing your job or you aren't trying really hard. I get it. You're right. We can, somebody said, who was it? Sherry, I think, lead a horse to water, can't make them drink. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. However, they got to know the water's there. And that was really the source of my frustration. Someone else, I think it was Diane, had said, don't be too harsh on people. They're only doing what they know. This is all new for them. And hey, I'm not being harsh on anybody. What I'm saying is, you guys, how do we get this message out there so that, how do we cut through the static, the clutter of before and after photos, pictures of people standing on scales? How do we get through that to explain to people that while that is something that matters now, and it is a reason to celebrate, and it is something very, very new and wonderful, it is not the goal. It is not the purpose of, treating our obesity. Losing weight is not the goal. I know we think it is, and that is the focus. We're trying to treat a disease. We're not trying to lose weight. We're trying to treat a disease. Yes, a byproduct of treating our disease is that we get to lose weight, and then we're not carrying that, carting that, lugging that around. It's no longer limiting us. We're no longer beholden to not only our weight, but the scale. We are wanting to live in freedom from, not in imprisonment to or by, right? So that was the content of my sort of blast of frustration out there on my post, saying, what is it going to take? What do we have to do? How can we reach these support groups out there that have 30,000, 60,000 people not being supported? And I see it. I see the laments, the lamentations of people saying, I can't get any support around here. No one will answer me. No one will. And they usually start with, help me, help me, help me. And the next thing is, I'm regaining weight and I don't know what to do. Come on, you guys, you know it. So recovery is the answer for anyone who doesn't even understand what the question is. And the question really is not, how can I lose weight? The question is, how can I finally treat my obesity and find the peace and serenity and tranquility that I've so desperately wanted my whole life, not realized I didn't have, not realized I could have, right? Not realized it was available. So that's really the message here today. It's not about me. Seriously. And if I sounded like it was about me, like, how do I get people to know me? That's not it at all. It's how do we get this message of hope and healing out there to people who feel hopeless and feel like there's just no way they will ever be free of the tyranny of the scale and numbers. One more thing before I move on to today's topic. Becca asked, and I think Trisha seconded, if I'm not mistaken, what is recovery? You're asking me not to pay attention to something that I need to pay attention to. Well, how do I manage my weight if I'm not focused on or paying attention to what I'm eating? Or phone call right in the middle of the show. You just never know what's going to happen. All right, so where was I? Lost my train of thought there. Apologize. How is it that we can treat our disease if we're not supposed to pay attention to it? Well, that's very much not at all the goal of recovery. It is not at all to pretend like we don't have a disease. On the contrary, it's to treat our obesity as a disease. And in order to do that, we need to have an awareness of what the disease is all about. And guess what? How we feed that disease. What role do we play in our own disease? So of course, we have to have an awareness. Not an obsession, not a fixation, and certainly not an imbalance. Because again, as I mentioned in a previous show this week, I work with people who do not have the disease of obesity and do not sit around and obsess about what they eat and how much they weigh or anything else. Okay, granted, they don't have the disease, but they have more of a balance in their lives where they say, my health and my body, the healthier I am, that enables me to participate in the things in life that I want to do. Okay, and that really is the goal of recovery from obesity, is to be able to participate in the things in life that we want to do. Okay, so I will obviously be talking a great deal about recovery on future episodes and doing a much better job of explaining it, because I realize I am having new viewers come in who don't have the benefit of seeing all of the programs from back in August where we really talked about this stuff. So I will continue to do I will do a better job of addressing that. All right, if you guys will support me in that. So, all right. So I think I've got people now gathered and online, and now we can talk about what I want to talk about. Now, Nancy, you're the one that gave me this idea because of one of your great comments. You just said something about trust. You don't trust yourself, I think was what you said. And I realized, wow, that really is the heart of, that eats us up, doesn't it? Not trusting ourselves. What does that look like? So today's talk, do you trust you? If you don't trust you, why should you believe you? All right, so let's talk about that. You guys ready? All right. We learn who we can trust at a pretty young age, right? I mean, we figure this out pretty early on. And even though we don't all use the knowledge in the same way, in other words, we may learn, but we handle that knowledge about trusting differently, right? So some of us decide that if we can't trust someone that we thought we should be able to trust, we'll never trust anyone again. So some of us come to that conclusion. Some of us decide that if we can't trust someone we thought we should be able to trust, it's because we weren't trusting enough. That's some of us conclude that, right? That it's our fault that we can't trust somebody else, right? We didn't trust them enough, all right? Some of us decide that we'll never trust anyone in a position of authority again. Someone who looks like that person, maybe. And some of us decide that we just need to be more trusting in general. All right? So there's a lot of that. Some of us trust no one. Some of us trust everyone. Some of us believe that trust must be earned before it's given. And some of us believe that trust must be lost before it's taken. Some of us do not know who to trust, but just seem to trust the wrong people, right? So this runs the gamut. This trust topic is huge and multifaceted and not simple, and there are no easy answers here, all right? So I thought, why don't we take a look at what goes into trust, okay? What are the qualities that we look for when we're talking about trusting someone, all right? Here's what I came up with. Confidence, truthful. So they are confident and they are truthful. We look for that in them. We can trust them because they exhibit confidence. We have confidence in them. Belief and faith. We believe in them. We have faith in them. They seem to have faith and belief in what they are doing. That's why we trust them. Assurance and reassurance. They are very reassuring to us. They assure us that we can trust them and that it's going to be okay. And guess what? Maybe they give us safety. We feel safe with them. We feel safe trusting them. Reliability, accountability, and follow through, right? We trust people that we can rely upon. We know they're going to be there. We know they'll be accountable for what it is that we've trusted them to do, and we know they're going to follow through. There's proof, right? This doesn't just happen in a vacuum. You don't just all of a sudden willy-nilly trust someone with big stuff unless there's proof. Maybe there's a track record, a history of success. There's demonstrable courage. When we trust someone, it's because they have shown us, they've demonstrated that they have courage. Maybe courage that we don't have ourselves. So those are, I think, qualities that a lot of us, and there's many, many more, but those are qualities that we would associate with trusting someone. All right? So you believe that the person you trust has your best interest at heart. You believe that the person you trust is competent and capable of doing the thing you trust them to do. Do you agree with me so far? Does this make sense to you? I mean, do you find anything here where you're saying, no, that really doesn't make sense. That's not why I trust someone. Maybe you trust someone because they're in a position of authority. They're in a position of trust where, like a parent, we're supposed to trust a parent, or we're supposed to trust the clergy, or we're supposed to trust, someone, a doctor, right? So positional authority. Got it? All right. When we don't trust people, it is often because they don't do what they said they'd do, right? Isn't that true? We interpret that to be a broken promise, okay? You didn't do what you said you'd do, and now I can't trust you. They are unreliable now. You can't count on them. They let you down. Is that true? Does that resonate? When you don't trust someone, isn't it true that it's because they let you down? Or, they didn't live up to a promise. They said they'd do something, they didn't do it. That's one reason that you don't trust people. But sometimes we don't trust people for other reasons. Maybe we just don't like them, right? They're just not trustworthy. I don't know. There's just something about him. I can't trust him. He's got shifty eyes. I don't like the way he looks. We don't think they have our best interest at heart, maybe. We think they're self-involved and not thinking of anyone else. Right? It's all about them. It's not about me, so why would I trust them? Or they have proven that they are not trustworthy in other situations. So, any of this resonating yet, guys? Here's what I want to know. Can you trust people with big things if they can't be trusted with the little things? Isn't that what this all kind of comes down to? Right? If someone has let you down on the big things, why would, on the little things, why would you trust them with the big things? All right? All right. Track record speaks volumes. I put that in really big letters, and it's true. A track record speaks volumes, right? If there's a history, if there's something we can look to, where we can say, yes, they've done this before. They've done this well. I can trust that they will do well again. Their track record, they have a track record of success, right? Okay. I have a really long track record with myself. We go way back. I'm talking I'm like all the way to the beginning. We go back. We're like this, me and me. It's crazy. And you know what? When I think about it, my track record is kind of spotty. It's not really, it's kind of questionable. It really is, a hit or miss. Man, Yet, I continued to trust myself for years when I said things like this. I'll just have a little bite of cake. You know what? I'm just going to have 2 cookies and then I'm going to stop. I am going to stop eating junk food entirely. It's just not good for me. You know what? I'm going to work out 5 days a week. That's what I need to do and I'm going to do it. Absolutely. I am going to stay on my diet this time. Oh yeah, this time I'm going to succeed. Oh yeah, totally trusted myself on everything I said, right? Amazing when you consider how my track record did not warrant that level of trust. I had really undeniable proof that I wasn't trustworthy. I mean, it was clear as day. I lied, I was unreliable, I didn't follow through, I did not have a history of success, that all-important history of success that we look for. You know what? I did not believe I could do what I said I would do. Ooh, and I gave up because I didn't believe I could do it. Okay, do those sound like qualities of a person that we want to trust? Seriously, do you want to trust a liar? Do you want to trust someone who's flaky? Do you want to trust someone who gives up and doesn't have your best interest at heart? And yet, unflagging, unfailing trust for 40 plus years I put in me. Wow, I'm going to say that was misplaced trust, just a little bit. Just a little bit there. All right, why would I trust me? It's kind of crazy, right? Well, because I knew myself so well. Did I? Did I though? Why would I trust someone who treated me like I treated me? I mean, out there, would you, if someone treated you like you treat you, would you trust them, right? Would I go out there knowing what I know about myself? Would I trust someone to treat me like I treat me? I'm thinking not. I don't think so. But maybe I did because I felt that trusting myself, as untrustworthy as I was, meant that I had to trust others who were equally untrustworthy. This is not a foundation for success, you guys. You know, basing a sick level of trust on sickness is not the way to health. That does not pave the road to healthy behaviors by paving it with unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy trust. So that brings me to today's topic, really. Do you trust you? Okay, several years ago, this is the backstory, okay? Several years ago, I was at a weight loss surgery conference, okay? And the topic of solid protein was being discussed by the doctors panel. This was the professionals panel, and there were bariatric surgeons up there. And they said, by 1 year out, people should not be drinking their protein anymore and should be eating it in a solid state. And I raised my hand and said, well, I'm, by this time, I think I was 4 years out. I still drank shakes, but I also got my protein through things like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt and feta cheese and beans and other softer food options because I didn't like the way my pouch felt when I ate the heavier stuff. And they suspected I had a stricture. That's what they said. But I rejected it because I just knew that I had, like a smaller opening than other people, and I was totally fine with it. I was totally fine. I mean, I wasn't suffering. I was fine. Okay, well, later in the event, one of those doctors pulled me aside and he put his arm around me in a very fatherly way and he said, and I will never forget this, ever. He said, you don't trust yourself, do you? You don't think you can do this. And that's why you don't want to get checked for a stricture, because you're afraid. But I believe you. I believe in you and I know you can do it. Well, I cried. I cried because you know what? He was right. I didn't trust myself. I was terrified. I wasn't fine at all. I mean, I was absolutely scared, and I had every reason to be, because why? I had put my trust in someone with a track record of failure. I had failed every time because I was still trying to do it the same way. The only difference was that I'd had surgery. And now I was just white-knuckling it, and I didn't want to let go because I was afraid if I let go, I would go off the rails again, and I would regain everything and end up right back where I had begun. And I was terrified that I couldn't do it, couldn't keep my weight off. I didn't trust me, and why would I? I mean, that was really it right there, laid bare. I had a history of letting me down, of lying to me, of failing me. Oh man, when I think about that, he was like an angel. That surgeon was an angel. It was actually Dr. Robert Davis from Big Medicine. I don't know if you remember him, TLC's Big Medicine. I love that man. And he is like a father, a bariatric father figure to me. He's just such a good man, and he was just so kind. And he said, I believe in you, and you need to believe in you too. Well, I would like to tell you that I fixed the problem right then and there, but I didn't. Of course not, no. I wrestled with it for a few more years, again, white-knuckling it. I did it by justifying and rationalizing and normalizing, right? Telling myself, oh, this is the new normal. I'm totally fine with this. Oh, yeah, it's all good. You know what? They said that I shouldn't drink my protein, but you know, what do they know? I'm fine. I'm fine. And I'm not here to tell you not to drink your protein, by the way, but I am saying that if there is something symptomatic that is not enabling you to eat, maybe there's something going on there, right? Okay. Well, maybe, 3.5 years ago, finally turned and faced my food addiction, my akabono, sumo wrestler you guys have heard me talk about. And I realized the reason I did not trust myself was because I didn't do trustworthy things. I didn't do things that people I trust did do. So basic, so simple, really. Was I a bad person? No, I just wasn't doing the things that trustworthy people do. Pretty basic. Well, I decided it was time. It was time to stop doing that and start doing something different. And so what I did, I was ready to live, fully live, by the way, a sober, abstinent recovery. Sober and abstinent. And you know what? That was going to require some unflinching honesty. Oh, ouch, right? It was time to come clean about all the ways I had been untrustworthy. It was also time to review my trust in others. Why did I trust? Who did I trust? Guess what? I learned a lot of my trust was fear-based. Yeah, I trusted others because I feared what would happen if I didn't trust them. I was terrified, right? And it didn't matter that they hurt me because I had to trust them. Hey, sometimes trust hurts, I reasoned. That's where I lived for a while. No, that just wasn't true. I don't think it has to. I really don't think trust has to hurt, you guys. I don't think it should hurt either. And I don't think it should be scary. Oh my Lord. Trust shouldn't be scary because I don't think that's trust. If you're scared, you're not trusting. But I do think trust requires compassion and patience and love and forgiveness and faith. And those sound very spiritual in nature, don't you think? And maybe that's because they are. Trust required my faith. See? It's not really doing anything. It's starting by believing something. Believing something. So I began to trust myself by demonstrating reliability, confidence, follow-through, courage, recognition, and honesty. Those sound like really good things, don't you think? Let me think. Let me read them again. Reliability, confidence, follow-through, courage, recognition, and honesty. Yeah, those are trustworthy qualities. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me on that. But here's the big question. Now I'm going to turn it on you. Okay, you heard about me. Now I'm going to turn it on you. If you don't trust yourself, how can you live in recovery from obesity? How can you find tranquility with a disease that wants you to remember how untrustworthy you are? That's so basic, right? Answer me that. Riddle me that. This is not going to happen overnight, you guys. It's not. But I do have some suggestions, okay? I'm not going to leave you hanging, right? This show's all about productivity. Something you can latch on to and work with because this is work. It's progress. Recovery is a work in progress. All right, let's begin. This is what I suggest. Begin by acknowledging the truth about your history. Accept the truth of your part. Are you ready? In your regain, your binges, your disappointments. Things you didn't accomplish in life, okay? Things that didn't happen. Things that you gave up on. What role did you play in that? Write it down. Don't judge. I'm not asking you to judge and beat yourself up. Absolutely not. There is no reason for that. There's no benefit for that. And besides, you've been doing it your whole life anyway. How about you stop now, okay? Stop beating yourself up about it. You already knew this stuff. How about if you just accept it, put it out there, write it down, state the facts. That's number one. You don't have to show it to anybody. You don't have to show it to me, but write it down. Don't put it in your head. Write it down. Here's how it might sound. I regained my weight on Weight Watchers because I stopped following the program. I stopped journaling. I stopped telling the truth in my journals. I stopped attending meetings. I stopped being honest about what I was eating. I stopped measuring. Okay? Don't judge. Them's the facts. That's reality. That's how we contribute to our untrustworthiness. I am not physically fit because I didn't exercise regularly. I didn't put enough effort into it. I didn't work myself hard enough. I didn't sweat, whatever it is. I have not worked with my doctor to treat my disease because I allowed my own shame and anger to get in the way of a treatment program. Okay? A lot of us are saying, well, it wasn't the right doctor. Find the right doctor. And own the part about how you didn't go find one sooner. Okay? I decided that my doctor was judging me and didn't understand me. I wasn't honest about what I was really doing because I decided I had a thyroid problem, and that is why I was 150 pounds overweight. I decided that my diabetes would keep me from losing any weight. I was too embarrassed to have a sleep study, so I left my sleep apnea untreated. Are you following me on this? Are you getting some ideas, some things about how you contributed to, how you actually fed your obesity? All right? You're not beating yourself up. You're owning your crap. You're owning your crap, and it stinks. That's why I call it crap, you guys. Of course it stinks. But once you own it, and this is a very important part, okay? Don't carry it around with you and complain that it stinks. I love that when people do that. It's like they got like a pile of dog poop in their hand, and they're like, oh, this stinks so much. Well, of course it stinks. It's dog poop. Put it down, right? Why are we owning our crap and putting it out there and going, look at my crap. Doesn't it stink? No, we do not need to do that. I'm not asking you to publish your journal of crap. I'm asking you to write it down so that you can own it and then don't pick it back up again. Don't need to reread it and decide, oh yeah, it still stinks. No, leave it alone. But in order to let it go, you have to grab hold of it and own it first, all right? This is where I believe that you start to build or rebuild trust with yourself. Maybe you've never trusted yourself. Maybe you did at one point, but then you gained weight and you lost trust. I don't know what that looks like for you. Honesty. That's number one, guys. Come clean. Own your crap. Don't repeat it. Okay? It's like, what, the shampoo bottle? Rinse, lather, repeat? Don't do that with the crap. Do not do it. Let it go. We will talk much more about this on future programs if you guys want to, but for now, gosh, I think that's pretty good homework. Don't you? All right. I'm closing it out pretty quick here because I do not want to run over time. But, and I love the fact that you guys are contributing and communicating here, and I don't want to ignore you. But I also don't want to go long, and you know what happens. When I start answering your comments, it starts to go 10, 15 minutes. I don't want to do that with you today. I really just want to leave you with the idea of homework. I want to encourage you guys to do that. Write the list of the ways in which you have been untrustworthy to yourself. The things that you have done that if someone else had done to you, you would not trust them, okay? Not for the purpose of beating yourself up, but for the purpose of finally having the courage to face your reality that says, guess what? I don't need to live there anymore. How do you know if you want to live there if you don't know where you're living to begin with, all right? So let's define it for yourselves, not for me, not for anybody else. And as far as what I wrote on the wall today, this is why I want to get the message out. This is liberating. This is freeing. This is the peace and serenity that doesn't exist when we are focusing on the scale and we're focusing on pictures and we're focusing on calories. See, all that does is remind us of why we don't trust ourselves. That's what that represents. If we're using it in a healthy way, then it isn't the focal point and we're not posting pictures about it. Right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not beating people up for being people. I'm not beating people. You can't know what you don't know, but let's help them to know what they don't know so that they can change their lives and choose recovery. I'm very passionate about this, as are many of you. And all I ask is that you help me to get the message out there, not because of me, but because it's a gift that everyone deserves to know they can choose. All right, you guys? So I'm going to sign off and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, live your recovery. Trust yourself enough to live your recovery. Remember, can't even speak. I'm so wound up. You can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I will see you guys tomorrow. Guarantee it. Hey, trust me. See you guys later. Bye.